Here we go, and we're recording. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode number 147. That's number 147. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction hypnotist and number one best-selling author of Practical Law of Attraction. Align yourself with the manifesting conditions and successfully attract your desires. I'm also the founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the app stores. All right, today I have a very special guest with me, Andrew Kap. Woo! Andrew Kap holds one goal above all others through his various projects: genuine and sustainable impact. Okay. In his latest book, his latest offering, The Last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read, offers readers a never before seen understanding of the topic of law of attraction by really going the extra mile and addressing why people who get excited about the law of attraction just cannot manage to get into the habit of using these methods consistently for, just 5 minutes a day. And so this book has been amazing. I mean, when I came across this book myself, when I first, learned about you, and your book just went through the roof with reviews. It came out in November of 2019, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
And, I mean, the book's been out for just a little over a year, and it has just zoomed into all of these amazing 5-star ratings. I mean, today it's January. You won't be hearing this on the podcast until April, but today it's the end of January, and we're sitting here at 1,288 5-star rave reviews. People absolutely love this book. I listened to the book. I love the book. And it's a number one bestseller on Amazon in many categories. And he also has put together a growing YouTube channel that's devoted to learning more about all of the manifestation methods in this book. And so I'm going to put the channel in the show notes so that you can easily click over to that. And today, Andrew is going to be sharing some of his insights on how to make gratitude easy and simple and automatic. So welcome to the show, Andrew.
Victoria, thank you so much for having me, and genuine props. Well, besides the fact that it's really awesome to be talking to another number one bestseller, I've been going on a bunch of podcasts. You are, without a doubt, bar none, I mean this, the best introduction I've ever gotten. And it's the same reason, at least in my opinion, why I enjoyed your book. It's because you first, I don't know how you do it, but you effortlessly exude warmth. And you could even hear that in an introduction, whether you're reading it off a screen or it's coming from your head. So I just want to give you props to that. And it's almost like a segue into, like, a lot of times when people are just being who they are, they do exude that warmth, or they exude that excitement, or they exude just whatever it is about them that lights people up and probably attracts your audience to you. So thank you for a cool introduction. I really appreciate
Oh,
that.
thank you so much. It's my pleasure. And yeah, I honestly, I believe that, I mean, when it comes to law of attraction and manifesting, I mean, how can you, like, one of the secrets, I think, to manifesting is just being who you are. And I generally believe most people, if they just be who they are, most of us are warm, genuine, authentic people. And that's, well, if you are who you are, you're going to attract more of what you want.
Mm.
So I'm really, really excited about today's topic. And, before we really dive into some of the planned questions that I had for you today, there were a few, like, during my morning freezing cold walk this morning out in 36 degrees, which
Burr.
it's never 36 degrees in Phoenix. So I was, like, really bundled up out there, but I was really, really excited about our interview today. And I just had a couple other questions that that sort of bubbled up to the surface. Like, I really just kind of wanted to find out a little bit about your background
Hmm.
before this was ever even a thought in your mind. Like, what was going on in your life before writing this book? Was like, just take us back to when you got the inspiration, and what you were doing, and who you are. Who is Andrew Kap?
Yeah, well, it's actually it's a longer journey than people might realize, especially because the book was written and published in 2019, very recently. I've been an entrepreneur for a long, long time, and I think a lot of fellow entrepreneurs can relate to the idea that you've got to kind of kill your own dinner, so to speak. It's like, if you have a bad week, not that a 9 to 5 is easier, but if you have a bad week, you're still got that salaried paycheck, you still don't have it on the way, versus an entrepreneur or salesperson that's they get that money or they don't. I think a lot of people, at least in my experience, they will find ways like, how do I improve my situation? And they'll look for positive modalities. They'll look for personal development. They'll go in all those things. And I basically went down this rabbit hole of all of these different philosophies or modalities or whatever it might be. And if I remember correctly, I probably learned about the law of attraction specifically in 2004. So even when The Secret came out and everyone was hearing about it 2 years later, I was already peripherally aware of it. And I was very hit and miss with it. I had my successes and failures. And I had the attitude that this law of attraction thing is actually it's not consistent. And what I would realize later on is I was the one who wasn't consistent. This thing was happening whether I liked it or not. I was the one, because I was this person who I would start to use the methods, I would start to get results. And we can talk about this later, why this happened, that I try to address in the book, but I wouldn't hold on to it. I would kind of taper off. I would talk myself out of it. I would stop what was working. And I hit a wall in 2008. I'm doing this 4 years now. I hit a wall, and I actually lost that first business and my girlfriend of 3 years all in the same week.
Oh,
And it wasn't
oh,
pretty. Like, it wasn't even, by the way, a face-to-face conversation or even a phone call. It was a text after 3 years, like, dude, I'm out. And
oh my
you know,
God, that's painful.
it was not fun. And, in fairness to her, I mean, part of the reason that it was so bad was because I was in such lack trying to keep the business afloat. I couldn't devote the time and energy to the relationship. Then I finally say, okay, I'm throwing the business away. I'm going to work on this. It's too late. But long story short, that's like, at least from my vantage point, 90% of my life gone in like 3 days. So I'm stubborn and I'm indignant. And right now I'm making this a world record for the most long-winded answer you ever get. But I hit this point where I'm like, listen, something's got to change right now. I don't care what happens, when it happens, why it happens, how. I don't care any of that. I know that this law of attraction thing kind of worked, and I've got nothing else going on. I'm going to go all in. And when I say all in, I don't mean all day, every day, because I understood enough about the human condition to know that I would burn out. But I was just pissed off enough to do 5 or 10 minutes every day, saying, I don't care
Hmm.
how long this is going to take. And the results that I got were miraculous. Again, you being who you are as an author in this world, I'm sure you've heard some amazing stories, but for me, it's like 2 weeks later, I felt better, which is saying a lot with a broken heart. Three
Hmm.
months later, I'm in a brand new, way healthier relationship. 4 months later, I'm making more money than at any point in my life before then. And 6 months later, everything's different. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm waking up happy and fulfilled. I even went through like a 7 week period in the midst of all that where I lost 25 pounds without even trying. So,
Wow.
I mean, I was working out with Sensei, but I was working out to feel better about myself. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I wasn't counting pounds. It just happened, poof. And I learned in that moment, this works if you work it. But it was only years later where I'm like, listen, I want to do something new in business. What can I do that I care about, that I understand, that if a customer writes to me, I won't be bored. I'll be engaged. I'll be excited to interact with them and help them out. And I got to the point where I gave myself permission saying, listen, I've done enough success and failure, and I know why I succeeded. I know why I failed. I know how I got around it. I can articulate this. And that's where I made that decision. Let me make a really bold promise in the title, knowing that if it didn't live up to it, those reviews are going to be pretty harsh. So I'm like,
Yes.
I made the title and I made the cover very early on the process. Every day I woke up looking at the cover on my screen before I wrote a chapter, because that was my guiding Northern Star. I have to live up to this. I have to make this work. So that kept
Yeah.
me along the way. It was my one image vision board of just like doing that and making it happen. and you know, came out, like you said, November 2019, and I've been on a roll ever since, just, you know, really enjoying the process and really being fulfilled, and hopefully sharing information that's helped facilitate other people in their journey.
That is awesome. Well, you actually answered a couple of my questions already
Nice.
in the one, because I
That's
was
what
going to
it was like.
ask you
Keep
a little.
talking. Like an hour later, dude, you answered all my questions. We're done now.
We're done. We're wrapped up. No, you know, because that's one of the things. Like when you write a book and you about law of attraction, I mean, people expect you to live up to not only you know what the book states on the cover, but they expect you to have your act together as well. I mean, if you're an author and you're writing about this stuff, you've got to have some things to show for it. And so that was, you know, pretty well answered by, you know, getting over your relationship in 2 weeks, getting into another one in 3 months, getting in, you know, making more money in 4 months, and getting into the best shape of your life. I mean, you covered it right there: health, wealth, and love, all in, you know, a matter of 6 months after you know, committing to this process. And so, of course, you know, it's our journey to want to share this information with people once, because that was one of the questions that was ever asked to me before I decided I wanted to get into this work, was if you had everything, you know, that you ever wanted, what would you want to be doing with your life? And I said, well, I just want to help other people to get there. And it sounds
Mm.
like you just kind of, you know, wrapped that up and said that's exactly why you wrote this book, because you prove to yourself that this works, and now you know, you've written this book that is helping other people to you know, to do the same, to do what you've been able to do. So why the title, the last law of attraction book you'll ever need to read? And what,
Mhm.
you know, like, what about all of us other law of attraction authors?
Like, what an awkward thing, a fellow number one bestseller, like having to read that title, like, hello, mine. So
Right.
just for clarity, believe it or not, I was very careful with this wording.
Yeah.
Notice, first of all, I didn't say it's the last one you'll ever read. I said it's the
Yeah.
last one you'll ever need to, in the sense that, first of all, I even say this in the, you probably remember from the beginning of the book, all the other law of attraction books. Well, the good ones. I mean, let's be honest. Some of them aren't good, but they're ones like, you know, I hold yours in high regard. I think, you know, Abraham Hicks books. There's a lot of books out there that these are legit. And the reason I call this the last one you'll ever need is, you know, maybe, by the way, I'm wrong and I wasn't paying attention, but what I never got from those was it kind of like pulling up a mirror in front of people and saying, okay, you're excited about this, you're doing this, but by the way, have you noticed that you're not doing it? Have you
Yeah.
noticed why? So what I try to inject, which is the whole thing about the need, is one final piece, because I would hope every law of attraction book, and I'd say yours does this, worth its salt, will explain the law of attraction in a clear, concise, user-friendly way. And any law of attraction book worth its salt is going to give the methods. What I want to include in addition to that was, let me show you why you haven't been doing it. So now you're aware, and the next time you try to trip yourself up without realizing it, you will be aware, you'll be able to do something about it, and you'll hopefully give yourself enough of permission that, you know, just that open crack of the door where you do it long enough that you get the result. Because I think there are certain people that they bounce book to book to book.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome book to awesome book to awesome book that could be technically the last book, or program the program, and rather than just do it, they're like, okay, let me look and accumulate more information. And I'm like, listen, give these other authors money, they deserve it. Give me money, I hope I deserve it, but, you know, for God's sakes, use it and get a result,
Yes.
because in the end, my book isn't going to teach you anything. I'm not going to teach you anything, but what me, or even your book, Victoria, what it's hopefully going to do, is going to inspire someone enough to do it long enough to get a result. And experientially, the experience that they have, that's what teaches them, because that's something you could never take away from them. That's what I wanted to give to people. That's what I got through a really horrible experience of being stubborn and upset and depressed enough that I forced myself to do it. What if I can bypass that for other people and just give them enough of a door that they can do it themselves?
Yeah. And you know what? That's one of the things that I really like about your book. Because, you know, like I know in mine, you know, I teach a lot of, you know, strategies and, you know, getting into alignment and the methods and the techniques and all of that. But yours, you know, yours takes it to the level of like, look, you just got to do it, and let's make it fun. Let's make it easy. Let's, like, you know, really make it encouraging for you to want to do this. And that was the thing that I enjoyed about your book was it's just like, it doesn't, it doesn't require, a whole lot of time for you to just do it, for you to just do your gratitudes, do your scripting, do, the things that, that you teach about in your book. And it's really, and you give like, the way that you break it down, it's not so much like a recipe, it's more like a menu. You can pick and choose which manifesting techniques you want to use. But, the key is the goal with anything. I mean, anything that you do, if you start a workout program, you just do it like a few days, you're not going to get the results that you want. If you go on a diet and you just do that for a few days, you're not going to get the results that you want. And, if you try to start a business and you just work at that for a few days, you're not going to get the results you want. It's the same thing with law of attraction. Law of attraction is always working, but if you're not doing it, if you're not focused on manifesting the things that you actually want to manifest, you're just manifesting by default, and so you're not going to be happy with the results that you're getting. And so you make it really simple by providing an abundance of various different fun and easy materials that people can apply instantly, and they're easy to follow, they're easy, and you want to do them.
Thank you for that acknowledgement. And by the way, just to your point about the examples, you made working out and dieting, and I've never been a fan of dieting. It just hasn't worked out. But I have been in a situation where when I build up the momentum, I can work out. But those aren't fun things necessarily for people. And that's what I think the beauty of whether it's my book or your book or anyone else's, the beauty of the law of attraction is with the right method, the key to it is it's enjoyable and if it's fast. So it's something where, I can talk myself out of a workout that I don't want to do that's going to hurt a lot. And I can talk myself out of a diet that I really not like, but it's going to be harder for me to talk myself out of a really fun law of attraction method that's only going to take 5 minutes and that I'm going to enjoy in the moment, hopefully to the point that I actually look forward to it. That's the real goal. How do we get methods? How do we get a process that you look forward to, that you're excited for, that it's a choice rather than a chore? Because no one ever says, like, I've never met a really hardcore football fan who's like, oh, I've got to go to the Super Bowl today. It's like, no, I get to go to the Super Bowl, right? It's like, you get to do it. The whole really good method is something that you get to do, not something you have to do. You're like, this is awesome. I get to start my day on such a high note, or I get to end my day on such a high note, or I get to do it as much as I want. That's really the flavor that I try to put in. So thank you so much for the acknowledgement that you got that out of it through reading it. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, so I want to know, like, out of all the methods that you talk about in there, what method, is there a particular method for you that you have been just kind of sticking with more often, or do you tend to just do them all, or like what's your favorite method?
Yeah, so I do take my own medicine. I use the methods, but I'm happy to even teach your audience. I could teach my favorite method from the book, which I personally attribute to having the biggest impact back in 2008 when I was making the comeback. But also I can even share the one method that's not even in the book that I do every single day now. So
Okay.
real quick, the top method in the book, in my opinion, and the top one's whatever which each person wants, but for me, it's the time lapse method. And to explain that real quick, it's basically going to be a situation where you write a list of 15 things that you're grateful for. You write 5 of them are from your past, 5 of them are from your present, and 5 of them are things that you want in your future. You're going to phrase them all in the present tense so that if you read the list aloud to anyone else, they wouldn't know whether you're lying or not, whether it's past, future. They don't know. It's just present tense. And this is important because you're going to jumble up the list once it's done, and then you're going to read through each item and give yourself, 20 to 60 seconds to feel gratitude for it. And as a hypnotist, I think you'll appreciate this. The cool thing about this is 2/3 of that list is real. 2/3 of that list is either happening or has happened, meaning the gratitude that you feel for that has a certainty and a confidence and a power to it that you just can't manufacture. But because we as humans don't downshift very easily, when you read those future ones all mixed in, it's that same vibration, that same energy, that same enthusiasm, and that gratitude is going to carry over. So it's going to feel more real. to the universe, to your subconscious mind, to every level and fiber and dimension of your being. And again, just the fact that it's fun to do is one thing, but the fact is it's a nice way of, tricking your vibration, so to speak, into having an extra magnetic power for those things that you really want. Now,
Yes.
with that said, the one that I do every day, because even though that's fun, that'll take me 10 or 15 minutes. I like to do something now that takes me 2 minutes. And what I do every day is basically I pick up my phone and I record a voice message of all the things I'm grateful for. And I send it to a friend across the country, and he does the same thing for me. And the really cool thing about that is that's spoken scripting. Because I think, to say real quick, scripting is writing and journaling about your life in the present tense as if you're already living your dream life. Spoken scripting is the same thing, only if people don't like to write or type, they have an easy option where, boom, they still get it out. Like this. I don't like to type or write so much, but I can do it. The cool thing about this is, because it's a good friend and he has this agreement with me, we've installed a social pressure that helps keep us going. I mean, we've been doing this for 4 years now, but that first month, I needed the accountability of not wanting to let him down. And the really
Hmm.
cool thing is, because sometimes he's first and sometimes I'm first, the first person inspires the next message of the other one where they comment on what they hear. And he's basically been there through the journey of telling him about the 5-star rave reviews, the best-selling book, starting the process, growing the business, the YouTube subscribers, the awesome emails that come in. All these things, by the way, I say now that they really happened, but I was saying in the present tense before they happened as well on the way. So we've seen each other's
Yes.
journey.
That is brilliant. First of all, I love the mixing up the time lapse of the gratitudes, because it's kind of your subconscious mind doesn't know which one is not able to really differentiate between the one that happened before and the one that's getting ready to happen in the future. And so that is a brilliant technique. I mean, did you come up with that on your own? Or was
No,
that, because a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of tried and true techniques and methods out there. And sometimes, we can take methods and sort of, alter them a little bit. And so, I mean, was it something that,
yeah, most of the methods are tweaks on something that I already
yeah,
learned. And by the way, wherever I can, I want to credit the original. I sadly don't remember the original version, if it was out of a book or out of a video or something, but I can
right.
tell you the original version was something more where it was things you have and future things. It wasn't past,
Hmm.
present, future. It was just a more dimensional, and do one after another, like just alternate them after the other.
Hmm.
I wanted to add this thing of, well, what if we included the past and present and made it more confusing for the subconscious mind? And what if the order was jumbled up every day, where your brain isn't going, okay, this really happened, this really didn't happen, this really happened, this really didn't happen. I wanted to make it more confusing for the mind and still enjoyable. So I think that was either a list of 10 or 20 or 30 things. I By the way, I didn't even make this for like a crowd or a mass audience. I was like, what can I do for myself that this is going to be easier to integrate with what I'm doing? So these are just the methods that I tweaked for my own liking that I think and hopefully translate for other people.
Awesome. Yeah, and then you also kind of answered my question that I was going to ask you about, did you use law of attraction? Do you attribute, law of attraction to the success that you've had with your book? And
Yeah,
obviously,
I'll tell you, Victoria, like one thing I regret. So right now, I think if you go on Amazon, we'll see how it looks in April when this publishes.
hmm
80% are 5-star reviews and 12% are 4-star reviews. And one
hmm
thing in the book, I do an example of scripting and I talk about how great my book is and all the 4 and 5-star reviews. I'm like, damn, Andrew, you should have just said 5-star reviews. Why'd you even have to put 4 in there? You would have gone from 12%, and 80 to like 2%, 90, whatever. So yeah, no, I have used it. I definitely do. I'm very intentional about doing this. And I personally, everyone does it their own way. I'm not a deadlines guy and I'm not even a numbers guy. So while I have this long-term goal about getting 1 million YouTube subscribers and 1 million books sold, more as a guiding northern light that inspires me to keep pushing forward. I'm not worried too much about specific numbers, and it's more about like having an impact. And I script about how grateful I am that customers write to me where they use the information to facilitate positive changes. And then I get emails like that. I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. So I try to keep
yeah.
it loose enough where I personally like to give the universe room to pleasantly surprise me and to do better than I can come up with on my own.
Yeah, no, and it's just brilliant. I loved hearing some of your stories in there about, first you were talking about how grateful it was, like a little natural progression, because at first you were so grateful for, making $10,000 a month, and then, you've used that as an example, and then later on it was about 20,000 a month, and then, it kind of, to me, the way that I heard that, the way I interpreted that is, a person is starting to, be able to get used to a certain level, and then like they hear that, and then like now it's like, okay, I've accepted the 10,000, now it's like 20,000, and so it kind of it just made it so realistic,
Mm.
that a person could grab onto that information, and and so I want to ask, like, so we've talked a lot about gratitude, and these methods, various different methods for having the gratitude. But let's like dive in a little bit to just, for those who don't really understand how to feel grateful, or why to feel grateful. Why is gratitude like the one of the most powerful tools that we could ever use to manifest things? Like, what is it about having gratitude?
Yeah, well, from my perspective and my experience, gratitude is just another way of telling the universe that you already have what you want, that thing, that life is good, that life is easy. It reaffirms that energy regardless of the way you articulate your gratitude. It's sending out that level of ease. It's sending out a level of relief because, and again, I mean, this is borrowing from Abraham Hicks, although probably in a butchered way, but you're not you're not down in the dumps by default, you're up by default. Meaning it's not even about inserting, goodness. It's about just, not even looking at a bad piece. Like it's I think it's just one of those natural things where if you can introduce relief, you're going to rise naturally. And gratitude is a great way of doing that. If you can inject joy, you're going to rise naturally. Gratitude is a great way of doing that. I think of joy, a lot of people think of joy as a manifestation, and it is, but I simultaneously view it as a strategy. Joy
Mm.
is a strategy. It's something that if you can inject it, not only is it fun to experience in the moment, but it's something by which you are inviting and attracting a lot more reasons to be joyful. Same with gratitude. The feeling of gratitude is inspiring the universe to say, okay, this is the program, this is the blueprint. Let's match up that vibration with more things for Andrew to be grateful for.
Right. And so a person that and I think it's like one of the highest, most powerful vibrations that we can be in. And you're right, it's like it sends that message to the universe that that we already have what we want, and we're grateful for it. And that just the more that we're in that energy vibration, that state, and visualizing and telling the universe that we already have it, it's gotta make that happen. So the other question, though, I think some people struggle with the feeling of gratitude. And so
Mm-hmm.
how does a person that they feel they're down on their life, they just lost their job, they were in there, maybe take them back to like when you were in your place where, God, I just lost my job, I lost my girlfriend, I lost, whatever. And a lot of people right now, especially with the pandemic, they're locked up in their house, or they're not happy with what's going on. Like, how, I don't even have anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how does a person step into that
Mm-hmm.
feeling of gratitude? How do you do that?
So there's two ways that come off the top of my head. I mean, I could probably come up with 10, but two that really come out. The first one's really harsh, but really effective if someone is really, and by the way, it's counterintuitive and it goes against the grain because us as law of attraction teachers or authors are always like, think positive. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. Why don't you think about like your laptop? If you're having trouble feeling gratitude for your laptop, and let's say somebody came and they took it and they walked away, they were just taking it away from you, and the only way you could get them to give it back to you is to tell them why you should have it, how it's
Mm-hmm.
helping you. Like all of a sudden, it's very easy to be grateful for your laptop if you have to come up with the reasons like why you need it, why life would suck without it. It's very easy to be grateful for people like friends in your life, even if you don't get to see them all the time, especially with what's going on in this day and age, like we're separated from each other. Like say, okay, you're going to lose this best friend unless you tell me why you should have them. And then all of a sudden, when you're forced to come up with these reasons, these examples, it's like, oh my God, I am grateful for this laptop. I get to talk to Victoria on it. She's going to share this with her audience. I was able to share it on Facebook simultaneously. I'm doing my email. I'm running my business. The speakers are awesome. The camera's awesome. The microphone. Oh my God, this is an awesome laptop. But that part notwithstanding, even just your body, because everyone has a heart beating in their chest right now. Think about it. It's been beating in your chest every single second of every single day since the day before you were born, when you were still in the womb. How could you not be grateful for your heart that's beating blood, sending nutrients to the rest of your body, which is also serving you? Your hands, your fingers, your arms, your legs, your feet, your ankles, your brain, your liver, like your lungs, your kidneys, everything that's working for you. Who could not be grateful for that? But, even by that same token, just another piece of this is it really just comes down to almost like just coming up with a list. Because I think if people keep coming up with a list of things that they have in their life, it'll start to click. And you might have to write 100 things down before you start to feel like, hey, this is pretty awesome. I'm glad I have this. But I think sometimes it comes down to doing it. And one extra piece is I think sometimes people don't feel gratitude because they put a false pressure on themselves, as if they have to feel gratitude a perfect way or the right way. All you have to do is appreciate or even just acknowledge that you have this thing, that life is better with this thing, and that will be there. And by the way, for people that are right now without a job, be grateful for your resourcefulness. Be grateful for your intelligence. Be grateful that you know how to write a resume and someone else doesn't. Be grateful that you can read and write. Be grateful that the universe has a really good job opportunity around the corner. Be grateful that you don't know how you're going to work your way out of it, because by not knowing how you're going to work way out of it, you've taken the responsibility of having to come up with the way, and you've left the universe a way to pleasantly surprise you and come up with a combination that you never would have thought of anyway.
That is beautiful. That is a perfect way of explaining it. That really just takes the pressure off of yourself to, just, you know, and it is. It's so simple, and it's so true that, sometimes we don't know what we have until it's gone. And so we have to appreciate what we have while it's here in this moment. And when you start to think about these things, I mean, it's kind of like popcorn. It starts off a little bit slow, and you're thinking like, okay, here's my iPhone. I'm so grateful for my iPhone. And then oh, here's my water bottle. I'm so grateful that I have this water bottle that keeps track of my water consumption. And I'm so grateful for these AirPods, that make it so that I don't have to hold my phone or, anything, or have wires connected to me when I'm doing my podcast interviews. And it's like, oh, I'm so grateful for that beautiful teal chair. And, and before you know it, it's like the thoughts. It's like how law of attraction works, in my opinion. I mean, the thoughts generate more similar types of thoughts like that. And before you know it, it's like, oh my goodness, I've got so many wonderful things to be grateful for. And I'm sure that you can find one, and then two, and then three, and then more. And so, and yeah, it doesn't have to be like this huge overwhelming thing. I mean, there's something. The air in your lungs is definitely something we all have if we were alive. And
Yes.
you got to think about how you might feel if you were suffocating with no air in your lungs. Like that would not be very pleasant.
Would not be fun. And the thing is, I I mean, I don't often express or articulate this, but I can go to a dark place in the sense that when life has been rough before, a fault that I would default to is I didn't sign up for this, And I think whether
Mm-hmm.
people articulate it in that way, a lot of times I think people think that, especially when things are rough. But there's an extra piece to it. There's an and or a but or whatever you want to say. It's I didn't sign up for this, but I'm here. So now the question becomes, even though I didn't sign up for this, I'm not going to take the blame for this. since no one else is going to take the responsibility, how do I responsibly respond in a way that I can still improve my situation? I didn't sign up for this, but what can I do for myself now? I didn't sign up for this, but how can I invite something good? I didn't sign up for this, but what are the clear, easy, healthy strategies that I can implement so that it doesn't matter if I didn't sign up for this? I am embracing life. I'm inviting good things to happen because I have a choice of either being stuck in this place or at least trying to find my way to a better place. Who wouldn't make the choice to lean in the positive direction for themselves?
Absolutely. And it sounds like, in a way, it's kind of like a form of taking responsibility for the moment. And that
Yes.
is also so powerful because, yeah, we may not have chosen some of the circumstances, but we always have the ability to choose how we're going to interpret that and perceive that and respond to that. And, what next, and to just be present to the opportunities that are available in this very moment.
Without a doubt. And my friend, she posted on Instagram today. It was this weird thing. It said, 100% not my fault, and then underneath it, 100% my responsibility. Like, even if you didn't cause I mean, maybe you did, but even if you didn't, let's pretend you didn't cause the mess. No one else is around to clean it up. You've got to do it for yourself. You've got to love yourself enough to do it. You've got to claim ownership over that self-worth and knowing that you really are worthy. And by the way, if there's someone important in your life, a child or a sibling or something, if you can't do it for yourself, even though you should, then do it for them. Find some kind of motivation, whatever it's going to take to get you to just embrace and do an easy law of attraction. But things are better now, and I'm glad I did this.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I just had one of these moments. You might have saw me look up to the left. My AirPods, for some reason, they disconnect and then I have to like reconnect them again. So I did miss like the last 20 seconds of what you said because I was
I was
reconnecting
singing
the
your praises the
AirPods.
whole time, Victoria. No.
Oh, I
Yeah.
missed it.
Well, no, I was, yes, 'cause it's actually so funny, believe it or not, with how long-winded my answers are. You could miss the last 20 seconds and they're just a colorful repeat of the first 20. But I was really just saying, like, you owe it to yourself to just put in that power and intention into what you want, knowing that it's better to do that than to just say stuck in this place of like, what am I going to do? I didn't sign up for this. Just lean in a better direction. Like, you have everything to win and everything to gain and nothing to lose by at least going in that direction versus saying stuck and you know resigning yourself to not having a possibility of improvement. Anyone's life can
Absolutely.
improve.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody's listening to this podcast or they're watching us on Facebook, here's the thing. I mean, you're clearly interested in law of attraction and manifesting something and creating a better life. And so, just it, creating all of the stuff that you want out there that is supposedly not necessarily connected to us or that's separate from us. To me, it starts with just being able to manifest the state that we want. And the only way we can even manifest the state of gratitude, the state of happiness, the state of joy, is to own that moment, like you're saying, and to just like, okay, I may not have signed up for this, but I'm sure as hell going to figure out a way to make the best of what what I'm dealing with right now and work toward manifesting more of what I do want rather than what I don't want. When we stay stuck and I didn't sign up for this, we're putting all of our focus on this and attaching ourselves to more of this that we don't want.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. And again, there's countless things to be grateful for.
Yeah,
Countless.
there really are. There really are. So besides gratitude, what would you say, what's the like one piece of information that might be missing if the law of attraction has not been working for you?
Mm-hmm. So there's two pieces that come to mind there actually, and it's interesting because your background in hypnotherapy. I wonder how this terminology jives with you because I've come up with my own definition of the ego, or at least what I think is my
Mm-hmm.
own definition. But I think the way I explained in the book and the way I see how we operate in this three-dimensional reality, I see us as having three minds. We've
Mm-hmm.
got the conscious and we've got the subconscious, and right in the middle we've got what I define as the ego. The
Okay.
ego being way stronger than the conscious mind, but nothing being stronger than the subconscious. And the ego, as I define it, has only one job in this world, and that's keeping you alive. Meaning, to anyone listening out there, that means the money problems you have right now, the relationship problems, the career problems, even the health problems. The ego only knows one thing, and that's right now you are alive. And the last thing it wants to do is risk the status quo and risk a change that might occur if you, quote unquote, improved, but more importantly, change your situation. So someone out there might want to be rich and famous, but for all your ego knows is when you're famous, you're going to get stalkers, and that's a threat to your survival. For all your ego knows is when you get rich, distant family is going to come out of the woodwork and try to sue you for it. That's a threat to your survival. So it just doesn't want to risk it. So your ego, this, by the way, your ego loves you. Your ego is doing this in a misguided way of protecting you. But by that same token, since protection is the number one priority, it doesn't care about your fulfillment, your satisfaction, your comfort, your happiness, your ease, or your joy. It just doesn't know any better. So with that in mind, that's why all those years I stopped when things were working. My ego, which I thought was my own voice, talked like, Andrew, you don't need to do it today. You're already on a roll, or you can wait a week. It's fine. But again, for me, the key is you want to bypass the ego, access the subconscious mind, and you can do that through these methods. Speaking of which, the second thing I want to offer to people, because I think a lot of people are listening and are like, I do these methods every day. I'm thinking about what I want every day. How come it's not working? And my answer, which no one wants to hear because I didn't want to hear it, is because you're doing the methods to get the result. Which is like,
Mm.
well, duh, Andrew, you wrote a law of attraction book. You said that. Why wouldn't I do the methods to get results? Like, well, no. You want the result, but you want to do the method for the sake of enjoying the method in the moment. You want to focus on the enjoyment. And through that, naturally, you'll experience ease and joy, and then the result will come, because people, they don't realize when they're doing the method just to get the result, they are focusing on the fact that they don't have the result. They're reinforcing the lack of the result. It's a really weird, high-wired distinction that most people don't catch. But the way around it is to use these methods and say, I don't care how it comes or when it comes, even though I'd like it really fast. I'm going to enjoy this method for the sake of enjoying the method, because if the method's not fun, it's a chore. It's not a choice. It's that Super Bowl game that I don't want to go to. You got to enjoy the Super Bowl. You got to enjoy it
Mm-hmm.
at the Super Bowl. You don't have to say, I can't wait to get the score tomorrow. You got to enjoy the Super Bowl. So those are the two things I would say to people.
Yeah, I love that, and I absolutely do agree with the way that you explain the ego, and its ultimate goal is just to protect us, and I kind of think of the three minds as the conscious, the subconscious, and there's the critical factor is what we call that. That thing that's blocking us. And so whether, I mean, labels sometimes aren't necessary for all of these things. And so I do agree with that, ego really trying to help us ultimately, by ultimately kind of sabotaging us in a way. Its intention is positive. It's just to save our life. But so I do like, and it makes a lot of sense. And then as far as just doing what you do, for the sake of doing it, and you should love doing it. This is like the same thing that I think about when it comes to manifesting money. If a person wants to make $1 million in their business, you know they shouldn't be trying to get there by doing things that feel hard, or feel like it's work, or feel like this isn't what I really want to be spending my time doing. That was like, for me, back in the stockbroker days, it wasn't that I was doing anything wrong. It was just like I fell out of love and passion with, what I was doing. And I kind of realized if I continue doing this, it's completely out of integrity for me, because I'm doing it now just because I make good money. And that is not sustainable. And doing these techniques, and just like what we started off in the very beginning talking about, sustainability, doing these techniques are not sustainable if you don't enjoy it. Eventually you'll burn yourself out. So you've got to enjoy the moment. You've got to enjoy what you're doing, and you are rewarded at the same level of your vibration. If your vibration is high while you're doing it, I mean, and I don't even care, honestly, for me, it's just like, I mean, there's the petting the cat technique. I mean, that technique, that's the, that's
Yes,
one of my favorite techniques,
it's powerful.
I mean, I just go and like snuggle up with my cat, and that's like one of my favorite things to do, and that just brings me so much joy, and that increases my vibration. And it's like it's not hard to figure out how to do that technique. It's it's just being happy in the moment, and it's cool when you have manifested a few cool things, like this house. You can walk around and kind of go like, "Oh, cool, I love this place,"
Mm.
and be
Yeah.
be happy with the things that you have manifested already, and whatever you do, just enjoy each and every moment, and you're gonna like you're gonna attract and manifest more moments to be happy and joyful for. So
Yes.
I
And
I love that.
I love the pet the cat technique, by the way. And what I love about it, one, law of attraction author
I
to
just
the other to
made that
another.
up. I mean, I
It's
just
well, the
called it
thing
a
is, it's
technique for the
technically
first
it's
time
not law of
ever.
attraction. Yeah, like I kind of see these techniques. I mean, this is just an organized way by which people can put themselves in a positive state. However, petting your cat, if you're okay with cats or dogs or whatever, just as powerful because all it is feeling good. Like I think that, ultimately you want to feel good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both. But if you could just settle for just feeling good, subconsciously you already know what you want anyway, so the stuff's going to come anyway. All comes down to just feeling good anyway.
It really does. And, I think we're just that, like, we're meant to be, happy. And so getting into the kind of like last question, well, maybe second to last question here. So what about the person who, like, they want to be able to use the law of attraction, they want to manifest things, but they just cannot get themselves to believe in the law of attraction. Do
Mm.
you actually need to like have this belief that the law of attraction works in order to make it work for you?
You don't like, and it's interesting. The way I explain this to people, because I'll go on different podcasts where people aren't on board with the law of attraction, but I want to make this accessible to them. And I say, listen, this is like, lifting weights to get muscles. That's kind of like what you do. And there's two ways of kind of like describing, like, okay, people lift weights and get muscles. It's an obvious thing, but how is this really working? And one explanation I give people is that you lift weights, and when you go to sleep, the muscle fairy comes at night and gives you muscles. And then poof, you wake up, you got more muscles. And even though the law of attraction person's like, that's not how it works. Well, a second explanation is that when you are lifting weights, you're putting so much stress on your body that your muscles are tearing in little areas. And then your body responds by healing, by filling in those little tears, those gaps, with more muscle fiber, hence more muscle. And people will be like, okay, Andrew, that's the explanation. And my answers to them is actually, it doesn't matter, at least for your purposes. What matters is you lift weights, you get muscles. You put an X, you get Y. And by that same token, if you do these methods, even if you don't believe in law of attraction or the universe or energy, by hook or by crook, you will see a result. And the really cool thing about this is if I'm lying to you or I'm deluded, these gratitude exercises have value in and of themselves. They've been shown to improve sleep, reduce anxiety, increase confidence. Like there's all these benefits to just, even if you don't get these results, you've already won. You've already gotten a victory just by engaging in this process for 5 minutes when you could have spent those 5 minutes stressing out about your job or about your life or something else. So you don't need to believe in law of attraction, but what you do need to do is give yourself permission to just try something that's fun. And by the way, the really cool thing is if you're motivated enough and you're like, I don't know what method I enjoy, try one new method a day for 30 days. And what you've just done is you've tricked yourself into doing law of attraction methods while on a discovery process. So even in the process of figuring out which ones you like or don't like, you've already put out that momentum and that energy of attracting what you want in a very dynamic, fun way.
That is great. Yeah, and I love that, person doesn't it doesn't really matter if you believe in law of attraction. It's always happening. And, the whole point of it is just, I mean, even if you even if you don't necessarily get what you want, even if you don't believe that you're going to get what you want, I mean, how bad is it going to be if you just start to feel better and start to enjoy your day more and start to enjoy your life more? Oh my God. Like we've already been on here for almost close to an hour, but I have, I just want to talk a little bit about your YouTube channel
Yeah.
because I came across your YouTube channel, just preparation for our interview, and I started watching a few of your videos, and they are great, and I encourage anybody to go and check out your YouTube channel. But there was one video in particular that obviously is extremely extremely exciting to share about, and I hope people will go and watch it. But it's about the woman who started your scripting exercise, and she manifested $1 million.
Mm.
Is this true?
Yeah, so first of all, by the time this publishes, we'll have an even more exciting video because Victoria is going to be an interview on the channel. It'll definitely be up before April. So we've got that one to look forward to. But yeah, this one actually, believe it or not, and she didn't use mine. She actually scripted before I ever came out with the book. And we were friends, and I didn't even know about this. And we got in a conversation about business and entrepreneurship. And she started talking about law of attraction. And I'm like, wait a second, are you doing scripting? And she's like, what's scripting? And I described it like, yeah, I've been doing that. And I did that and I took my business from like $300 or zero in the bank to over 1 million, or I think 1.6 million or something in like 16 months. And
Wow.
it's like, yeah, like that is the power of this. People, again, if you don't like scripting, just do it into a phone like I do every day with my friend. But there's such a power to these methods, especially in my opinion, when there's consistency. This is why you have to enjoy it. This is why it can't be a chore, because it isn't that you have to do it every day. You want to do it every day. But yeah, we go on a long interview, like an hour long, and I basically try to break down get her to articulate her process so that if people want to try to mirror that, they can do so. So that's one of maybe my first feature interview on the YouTube channel there.
Wow. Well, if you guys want to learn how his friend went from $300 to $1 million using scripting, then I highly advise you to go check out his YouTube channel because that is super exciting. And you're also you put a free meditation on your YouTube channel, and this is from a gratitude program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've got a program that for now it's once a year. I mean, I've
Okay.
got like a 90-day evergreen thing, but this once a year thing is called Escape Velocity. And
Okay.
the whole idea behind that is like sometimes people feel like this negative barrier that they have to like burst through before they finally achieve momentum. So I kind of liken it to like a rocket ship. It uses up 90% of its fuel before finally getting out into the atmosphere. And then it only takes like 10% of the remaining fuel to go all the way to the moon and all the way back, which collectively is over 400,000 miles. So in Escape Velocity, it's like a 30-day program where I keep giving people new gratitude exercises so they can experience gratitude in dynamic ways. And it won't be available again until December, but what I did want to do was offer a free piece to people. And I put out one of the meditations from that program that I call the rainforest. So
Ooh.
you can't miss it when you like go there and look through the thumbnails. You'll see the rainforest meditation. I like it. Hopefully other people will also.
I'm sure they will. Well, I'm going to give that one a try myself too. I love meditations. I love exploring and learning constantly new law of attraction and manifesting meditations and gratitude. So that'll be awesome. Well, it has been just so fun and amazing having you on this show today. I'm just really enjoying getting to know you, getting to know, your processes. And I just think what you're doing is so amazing. I'm so impressed by you. I'm so impressed by your book and just the way you carry yourself and the way you speak about law of attraction and everything that you've accomplished. And so I'm just really excited to be able to give this information and share you with my audience. And, I think we both have a lot that we can, share with the world. And I just wish you much success, that you just continue to grow and grow and grow and keep spreading the good word that you're spreading. And so thank you. Thank you so much for blessing us with all of your insights here on Power of Your Mind podcast and to my Facebook friends. And I'm just really honored to have you as a guest on our show.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And since we are on Facebook Live, some people hear this months later, I advise everyone on my feed, check out Victoria, check out what she's got going on. And trust me when I say you've got a really fun interview to look forward to when I finally upload us to my YouTube channel. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being so intentional in all these interviews that you do, that it's clear that you really care about your audience. I love being in that space. It inspires me. So thank you for being you and being such a warm, welcoming host.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to conclude our Facebook Live. Stop recording.